costs that are making their lives more difficult. I think we need to listen to Americans. I don't think it's too late, but it's long overdue. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield back the floor.
Senator from Louisiana.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent to display 3 charts during my remarks.
Without objection.
Mr. President, with me today is Mr. James Shea, one of my colleagues from my Senate office. I want to talk today, Mr. President, about the owls. There are 19 species or kinds of owls in the United States. Did you know that? 19. I want to talk about 2 of them. The spotted owl and the barred owl. That's barred, B-A-R-R-E-D. Both of them are God's creatures. I also want to talk today, Mr. President, and you'll understand what I mean in a moment, about the federal government's proclivity, repeated proclivity, to do the dumbest thing possible that won't work. Now, the federal government, which can't even deliver the mail when it has the address right there on the front, and more specifically, the Department of Interior has promulgated a rule. And this rule says that unless Congress stops them, they're going to hire hunters right here to kill 453,000 barred owls. There are only 4 million in the United States, but the Department of Interior wants to kill 453,000 mama barred owls, daddy barred owls, and baby barred owls, because the Department of Interior says that the barred owl is a better hunter than the spotted owl. The Department of Interior is not saying the barred owl is eating the spotted owl. The Department of Interior isn't saying that the barred owl is hurting the spotted owl. The Department of Interior says it wants to kill over 10% of the barred owl population because the barred owl is a better hunter than the spotted owl, and they want to tip the scales of nature in favor of the spotted owl, even though the spotted owl is not on the endangered species list. My resolution, which will be voted on tomorrow, will stop this nonsense. First, I want to talk a little bit more about the barred owl, and in doing so, I'll talk a little bit about its cousin, the spotted owl. As I said, they're both God's creatures. This is a barred owl. It's beautiful. If you've ever seen a barred owl, it has very, very soulful eyes. Their feathers are incredibly soft. It's called a barred, B-A-R-R-E-D, because of the bars that run across here, as opposed to a spotted owl. The barred owl, 10% of which our brainiacs at the Department of Interior want to kill, has been around for 11,000 years. Sometimes the barred owl is called a hoot owl. That may be the term you know it by best. The barred owl is about 2 feet long. It's got incredible eyes. Man, it can see. It's like Superman or Superwoman. It's got incredible eyes and incredible hearing. The barred owl, like the spotted owl, is nocturnal. They come out at night. They hide during the day, and they come out at night. And the barred owl is a great hunter. Great hunter. The barred owl eats mice. The barred owl eats squirrels. The barred owl eats snakes. The barred owl eats lizards. The barred owl eats spiders. Barred owl even eats bats. The barred owl lives, as does the spotted owl for that matter, in old growth forests. In fact, I have a pair of barred owls that live in the forest behind my house. They're great. They always come in pairs, about which I'll talk in a second. In fact, you can attract barred owls, many people do, by building what's called a nest box. And you can have barred owls come and live if you live near a forest. If you want to know how, if you're not handy like me and you want to know how to build a nest box, just go to YouTube. Barred owls marry for life. They mate for life. And when a male barred owl is courting a female barred owl, I've seen videos, it's really cool. The male barred owl courts a female by bowing. The male barred owl bows and it opens its wings up a little bit. Doesn't want to be intimidating to the female, not full blast, but it opens its legs up a little bit. And the barred owl wobbles its head back and forth, side to side. And if the female is impressed, the female says, "I do." And they stay married the rest of their lives together. That's why you see them in pairs. They have babies once a year, generally 2 to 5 babies. Well, I can't go there. These are two of the babies that the Department of Interior wants to kill. They're going to pay the same price, by the way, to the hunter to kill the babies as they are to kill the mama. They don't care. They just want to kill them all. When the babies are little bitty when they're born, they're not covered in feathers. Little babies are covered in soft white down. They don't start getting feathers until about 2 weeks. And the mama barred owl stays with the babies for the first few weeks. Sometimes the babies, like senators, fall out of the nest as they start exploring around, and the mama or the daddy barred owl, unless the daddy's out hunting for food, has to get them back into the nest. The babies learn to fly after about 10 weeks. Now, what does this have to do with the spotted owl, which is also one of God's creatures? The barred owl is native. It's originally from the eastern United States and southeastern Canada. It's existed there 11,000 years. But over the past 100 years, 100 years is just the blink of an eye in time. Over the past 100 years, the Northeast has gotten more and more crowded. And the old growth forests that the barred owl lives in have been cut down and subdivisions built. So the barred owl, as happens all the time in nature, has started moving west. And it's moving west. And it's moving west. And now the barred owl is entering Washington State, Oregon, Northern California, and British Columbia in Canada. Well, that's where the spotted owl lives. The spotted owl also lives in old growth forest, but not exactly in the old growth forest in the west is the same place as the barred owl is. The spotted owl prefers an old-growth forest at a higher elevation. The barred owl is a better hunter. It's slightly bigger than a spotted owl. The barred owl is a better hunter than the spotted owl. Now, let me say it again, because there's been a lot of confusion about this. The barred owl doesn't hunt the spotted owl. In fact, many times a barred owl and a spotted owl will get married. I know they're cousins, but that doesn't matter. They're distant cousins, and sometimes they get married, and they interbreed. So this isn't a question of one animal killing another. The Department of Interior is mad at the barred owl because the barred owl's a better hunter. The barred owl is just a better hunter. That's just the way it is. You know, just like the Senate president is better looking than me, I accept that. That's the way God made us. God just made the barred owl a better hunter. And the Department of Interior is all up in arms. They say this is threatening the spotted owl. Now, the spotted owl isn't on the endangered species list, but they say this isn't fair. The barred owl is a better hunter than the spotted owl, and that's causing the spotted owl's population to decrease. So the Department of Interior, in its infinite wisdom, has come up with DEI for owls. They've come up with quotas for owls. The barred owl, because nature, God, whatever you believe in, made them better hunters, now has to give up its rights, has to give up its life, because the spotted owl is not as good of a hunter. Now, as I mentioned, the spotted owl and the barred owl don't always live in the same place. Out west, the spotted owl prefers higher elevations than the barred owl. But they do, it's undeniable, they compete for food and they both live in old-growth forests. Let me tell you something. The Department of Interior doesn't like to admit this, Mr. President. The spotted owl population was declining even before the barred owl decided to move. You know why? It had nothing to do with food. It had nothing to do with the barred owl. It had to do with the same thing happening on the West Coast that has happened on the East Coast. Many of the old-growth forests have been cut down to make way for more people. And you might have noticed we've had a few forest fires. And they have been causing the population of the spotted owl to be reduced. Not to the point of endangered. The Interior Department just says they're threatened. That's the problem with the spotted owl. It's not the barred owl. Now, this regulation that I'm trying to overturn was promulgated under President Biden's Department of Interior. Okay? But the Department of Interior, I want to make this clear, under President Trump, has embraced this rule. They think this is the greatest rule, this is the greatest idea they've ever heard of. They think it tastes like pumpkin pie to them. In fact, I got a call from Secretary Burgum, who I love and respect. He was mad as a mama wasp. Pull down that regulation. He accused me of slandering the Trump administration. I'm not slandering the Trump administration. This was a President Biden regulation. Now, I was polite with the secretary, but I told him he was confused. He needed to call somebody. He had the wrong person in line. The secretary needed to call somebody who cared what he thought. Because I think he's wrong. I think he's wrong. I think he and the other members of the administrative state of the Department of Interior decided to play God. And they're wrong for at least 5 reasons. Number one, their plan, their Brainiac plan, which looks like it was designed by a heroin addict with a socket wrench, won't work. It won't work. Now, let me tell you what they're going to do. They want to hire hunters. They want to hire Elmer here to go out at night with a flashlight and shoot the barred owls. Now, this is night, okay? The barred owl lives about 40 feet up off the ground in a tree. You know what else lives about 40 feet up off the ground in a tree? The spotted owl. You think that these cowboys who are going disco because they have a federal contract are going to be able to always tell the difference between a barred owl and a spotted owl? They're going to shoot them both and let God sort them out because they're being paid. Look, I'm a duck hunter. And a lot of times when I hunt ducks, I'm not a big hunter, but I like to duck hunt and dove hunt. I eat what I kill. But a lot of times when I'm duck hunting, there are different points for different species of duck. I can't tell which duck is which. I've passed up shots before because I thought it might be a mallard when I can't kill any more mallard. You think these cowboys that they're going to hire from the private sector, going out there with the little flashlights, old Elmer here, with his little red hat, in the middle of the night with a flashlight, are going to tell the difference or care the difference between a barred owl and a spotted owl? No. They're going to shoot them both. Number two, the other reason it won't work is the spotted owls are not stupid. Once you start shooting at them, they're going to move up into Canada. The Canadians aren't dumb enough to do something like this. They're going to move up into Canada. And they're going to wait until the shooting stops. And then they're going to come back down. So what have we accomplished? Have we done anything for the spotted owl? No. Number three, I've been through this reg stem to stern. I can't find where this regulation prohibits Elmer Fudd from going out there and using lead shot. Now, when we hunt ducks, you can't use lead shot, you use steel shot. You know why? Because a lot of times other birds and other animals will eat the lead shot and they die from it. So these cowboys are going to go out, if they're not prohibited from using lead shot, yeah, they're going to kill some barred owls and spotted owls. They're going to end up killing eagles and hawks and other wildlife using their lead shot. The second reason this won't work, let me say it again. The barred owls aren't the problem. The problem is that we're losing old growth forest in the west, which is the habitat of the spotted owl. And it's naturally occurring as more people move to Washington and Northern Carolina and Oregon, and we have wildfires that have burned our forests. Don't go pick on the barred owl. You can kill every barred owl there is, and it's not going to help the spotted owl if you don't maintain the appropriate habitat. Number three, this is going to be incredibly expensive. This comes under the theme of let's do the dumbest thing possible that won't work. Our Department of Interior has already issued one contract. I don't know how they got the authority to do it, but back in 2004, they issued a contract to a private vendor, Elmer here, to go kill 1,500 barred owls. I guess they wanted to test it out. You know what they paid? $3,000 a bird. $3,000 for a mama barred owl, $3,000 for a daddy barred owl, and $3,000 for a baby barred owl. Give me a break. And now they're going to go out and kill 453,000? Over $1 billion. Over $1 billion. It's not their money, but it's taxpayer money on a plan that won't even work. Here's what one person from the Department of Interior said. In a rare moment of candor, he might have gotten fired, but he's a wildlife and fisheries agent. He told the press, I'm going to quote, he said, I think all we can really do is try our best to provide a habitat for spotted owls, and in the long run, we're just going to have to let the two species work it out. Final reason this is a bad reg, and then I'm going to wrap this up. I know the bureaucrats at the Department of Interior. I realize this. They're smarter and they're more virtuous than you and I are. I get that. But who appointed them God? Who appointed them God? Barred owls are expanding their habitat because the forests in the east have been cut down. That's called adaptive range expansion. And you know what? Whether you believe in God or nature or whatever, that happens every single day in our ecosystem. It's a naturally occurring ecological phenomenon. It's a core behavioral characteristic of mammals. All the barred owls are doing, they're not hurting anybody, they're just doing what nature teaches them to do. We're going to change nature. We're going to control our environment to this extent. We're going to pass DEI for owls. We're going to pass quotas for owls. Spotted owls good, barred owls bad. But the barred owls won't lose their constitutional rights. They'll kill them. They're going to kill 453 of them, dead as Jimmy Hoffa. Give me a break. I cannot think. This attempt, this is foolish, this is reckless, this is expensive, it's unsupported by evidence, it's unnecessary, and it won't work. And I cannot think of a better example of the arrogance, the hubris of the federal administrative state. This ranks right up there. If we let them go through with this will rank right up there with those $10,000 Department of Defense toilet seats. Except part of God's creation will already be dead. Ecosystems are like markets. They regulate themselves. Trying to change nature is like trying to have a federal government direct a free enterprise system. It won't work. It never has, and it never will. I don't mean any disrespect to anybody. I don't. I'm not, well, I guess I am calling somebody Elmer and Fudd. I don't know who they're going to hire, but I know they hired a bunch of Elmers and gave them $3,000 a bird, and it didn't work. But this to me is just bone deep, down to the marrow stupid. I have rocks in my driveway that are smarter than this. I do. And here's my advice to my friends of the Department of Interior. And I'm full disclosure. This thing's supported by President Biden's people, and it is supported by President Trump's people. Secretary Bergen loves this thing. He loves this idea like the devil loves sin. And he has the right to his opinion. But here's my advice. Life is hard. Life is hard. But it's a lot harder when you're stupid. Don't do it. Pass my resolution. And let's stop this. I suggest the absence of a quorum.
Will the senator withhold his request? The senator from Louisiana withhold his request?
Would I do what, Mr. President?
Will you please withhold your suggestion?
Of the absence of a quorum.
I'll do whatever you ask me to do, Mr. President, within reason.
Without objection. The senator from Idaho.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President, I rise in opposition to Senate Joint Resolution 80.